And welcome, everybody. Hands-on Apologetics. You have entered into Virgin Most Powerful Apologetics Dojo. And welcome back, everybody. Hands-on Apologetics. We are going to discuss a very interesting topic, which is what is the fate of unbaptized infants? And to help us work through this problem, we have Michael Lofton. Michael is a graduate of Christendom College Graduate School of Theology, where he received the Master's of Arts in Theological Studies. He's appeared on EWTN, Sirius XM Radio, Radio Maria, and has contributed frequently several websites and blogs. He's the associate editor at Christendom Graduate School, and he's the founder of Ancient Faith Apparel and Renewal Publications. You could check out all of Michael's great stuff at his website, reasonandtheology.com. And Michael Lofton, welcome to Hands-on Apologetics.
Thank you for having me, Gary.
Yeah, in the chat room coming up for the break, somebody asked if Michael Lofton's an apologist, and I say, no, he is a master apologist.
Well, I don't know how exactly you would style me. If you would say I'm an apologist, I'll accept it.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a fascinating area of research. In fact, I know that you've done some writing in this area. Yeah. How did you get interested in the question of, the fate of unbaptized infants?
It's something actually very personal to me because, some people actually already know this about my testimony, but one of the things that really drove me to look into Christianity was this was back in 2006. My girlfriend and I had a child, and she decided to have the abortion, and I was completely opposed to it. And that really, destroyed me emotionally. And it started, kind of put me on a path that made me look into the meaning of life and how to get through, emotional difficulties. And I started looking into scripture, and I found a lot of comfort there. But of course, this is something that happened in my background. And so I naturally wanted to know, as I became a Christian, what is the fate of my child who died? So this is something very personal to me. So it got me looking into the fate of unbaptized infants, especially as I entered the Catholic Church.
Yeah, very well. Yeah, I can't even imagine being in your position. And so this is a passion, to try to get some answers.
Yeah, and, I can really sympathize with a lot of people because when it comes to this topic, it's very complex, it's very controversial, and emotions run high because a lot of people have had abortions or miscarriages or what have you. And so it's understandable why there's a lot of emotions involved. And so I try to be as sensitive as I can because I understand it. I've been there. I can relate. So again, it's a very important topic to me.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question. Does Scripture actually explicitly state the fate of such infants?
Unfortunately not, and that's why this is a very complex question. What the Bible does do is it gives us certain principles and parameters with which we try to work within. So one of those key principles that we see in Scripture is the universal salvific will of God. What that basically means is God wishes for all to be saved. He wills for all to be saved and everyone to have that potentiality to be redeemed. And that includes, of course, infants who die in the womb. It's everyone, all humans.
Yeah, so those are the major tensions. It's like unborn, unbaptized, or even born infants that are not baptized. They didn't merit hell. They didn't merit punishment. But they also don't have sanctifying grace so that they can enjoy the beatitude, enjoy viewing God. And, it is kind of strange how that particular case does seem to fall in between, some things where you can say, this absolutely is true and this absolutely can't be true,
And it would be very nice if Scripture addressed this matter explicitly, but as we've noted before, it doesn't. And, some of the Eastern Church Fathers, what they did is they just looked at this thing and said, look, they neither merit reward nor punishment. They just go to this middle place. And this is where and this is also, of course, seen in the Western Fathers. So this is where we come up with the concept of limbo that some people have suggested throughout history as a solution. I'm not necessarily convinced of it, but it is one of those theories that Christians have posited throughout the ages. And what limbo means is it means fringe, it means border. It's seen as a border place on the edge of hell. So it's not in heaven, but it's not in the same place of hell where the damned who have committed actual sins go. So it's not there either, but it's on the fringe, on the border of hell, where there is no punishment, there's no pain, and some have even suggested, such as Thomas Aquinas, where there's perfect natural happiness. So there's perfect natural communion with God, natural knowledge of God, natural happiness. So the greatest happiness, the greatest communion with God, the greatest knowledge that you can have of God on a natural level, this is what you would experience in limbo. So some have said, this is what the unbaptized infants experience, which is not a bad deal. I mean, hey,
yeah,
perfect
right.
natural happiness, communion with God, maybe even a natural communion with your loved ones who are in heaven, so there's not an alienation there. It's not a very bad lot, but it's not necessarily something we're boxed into believing.
Right. And I like one of the points that you made in your writings is that the question of whether they would feel bad because they didn't achieve the beatific vision.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot, was it Ambrose or somebody who said that you can't regret something you don't know? Or
yeah, I think that was actually Gregory Nazianzus or Nyssa. Okay. One of them actually said that. I know Alphonsus Liguori for sure dealt with, but I want to say he was drawing on some of the work of the Eastern Fathers there. But I know Liguori mentions it in his book on prayer, which is available online. So I mean, some people have said that there's going to be a little bit of suffering there in limbo because they are deprived of the loss of heaven, of a supernatural knowledge and communion with God. But as some have said, I mean, you're not going to feel a loss for something you didn't know to begin with. And so, a lot of theologians have said, okay, there's no pain, there's no suffering whatsoever if a unbaptized infant actually goes to limbo. There's a big if there, and I'll explain why here in a little bit.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, we're coming up on our next break. I don't want you to start because not only that, there are other options besides limbo, and also there is